Hi, and welcome to Symbols of the Waite-Smith Tarot, Eight of Swords. In our system, swords stand for intellect, thought processes, justice, and communication, while eights denote movement, expansion, prioritizing, and reevaluation. Some traditional meanings of the Waite-Smith Eight of Swords are ordeal, temporary endurance, isolation, bondage, feeling vulnerable, waiting to be rescued, feeling trapped, self-limiting beliefs, and mental preoccupation. Looking to the card, we see a woman in bondage, hands tied and blindfolded. Her feet are free. She is surrounded by 8 swords, forming a sort of fence or cage around her. She is standing in some earth mixed with water. Behind her, we see a cliff and a castle. She is wearing red clothing, and we have a gray sky. Looking to our figure's pose, we can say that she looks almost like she is within a cocoon, suggesting that something is developing, or perhaps it's a time for reflection, or a transition, or transformation. With her arms bound, we can say that she is unable to grasp certain concepts or that she is out of touch. Being bound can signify powerlessness and the feeling of one's hands being tied. The ropes themselves can show confinement, restriction, non-action, or feeling tied in knots. The blindfold is a symbol of not seeing things as they are and lacking information or ignorance, but also impartiality and looking within and contemplation. Turning to our figure's red clothing, the color red represents the personal will and passions and ambitions, which in this card are in bondage. The 8 swords in this card are positioned to suggest a prison, a fence, or a fortress, which can then suggest a sense of security and protection. The placement of swords around the figure suggests a circle, which can show that her thoughts are going around and around in rumination. Behind her, we have a mountain, which can symbolize difficulties and hardships, or achievement and goals, which in this case are seemingly out of reach. The castle itself is a symbol of security, achievement, and illumination, but also isolation and imprisonment. On the ground beneath the figure, we have puddles of water mixing with earth. The earth itself is our sense of groundedness, while the puddles suggest the inability to think clearly due to emotional involvement. Earth and water together make mud, which can suggest a muddiness or messiness of the situation and lack of clarity. This brings to mind such expressions as mudslinging, being a stick in the mud, or having one's name dragged through the mud. And finally, we have a gray sky showing apathy, depression, gloominess, or in another light, neutrality. So those are just some of the symbols of the Waite-Smith Tarot Eight of Swords. I hope you will join me next time for the Nine of Swords.